Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I've got a number of positive items to discuss in this video. Very positive stuff. The headline on your screen from Daily Hodl reads, Ripple says massive global expansion of XRP payments network launching in 2020. And yes, we absolutely are talking about on-demand liquidity utilizing XRP as a bridge currency. The one I'm going to cover after that is titled Ripple Tops List of Blockchain Capital Raisers in 2019. But before we go any further here, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and if you're a fan of Ripple taking over the planet, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. This is an XRP-centric channel after all, so you should be in good company other than the occasional Bitcoin troll that likes to stop by in the comments section. But you know what, Mr. Bitcoin Troll, Mr. Bitcoin Maxi, let's be friends. You are welcome here on the Moon Lambo channel. Go ahead and leave your jibber jabber below. I'll read it. It's cool. Ripple says it's launching its XRP-based cross-border payments product around the world in 2020. In its latest XRP markets report, the real-time gross settlement company says it will add more corridors in the following regions throughout the year for its on-demand liquidity. Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. Now, we know, thanks to the XRP markets report that just came out several days ago, that there is a new corridor. It was officially announced, kind of an interesting place to announce it, but there's a new corridor which will connect the euro to United States dollars. And they didn't give any additional information, but the only cryptocurrency exchange that I believe is based in the euro is it was Bitstamp. So, put the pieces together. That's got to be it. So from that to Bittrex in the United States, presumably. All right. To date, Ripple's liquidity solution powers payment corridors between the United States, Mexico, and the Philippines, and serves more than 24 companies, including GoLance, Via Americas, MoneyGram, Interbank Peru, and FlashFX. And I always like to cite Interbank Peru because to those little Bitcoin trolls out there that say, banks are never going to use XRP, and that's what they sound like in my mind, even if I'm just reading what they're, that Interbank is an actual bank. It's either the biggest or one of the biggest banks in Peru, and they have absolutely stated they are going to utilize XRP as a bridge currency, so there's no question there. And so this is one of the coolest times. We only get to live through this nascency of the asset class and the early days of XRP once. If you imagine another 10, 20 years out to XRP, it will be here, but there'll be less of a frenzy around the asset class as a whole, so I don't know how much opportunity, and I mean that in the literal sense, I don't know what the opportunity will be investing in XRP that far in the future. Maybe it'll be less volatile like gold. That would be my best guess. But we're living in this time where all of this is happening right now. This is all being built out, and we're actually seeing the real-world implementation of on-demand liquidity utilizing XRP in the real world. And this is the part, and this is why it's so exciting in my mind, this is the part where it's really going to ramp up. In 2020 specifically, I think it's going to put 2019 to shame in terms of real-world adoption. And I think that this will bode well for the price of XRP long-term. Now, of course, since I said that, I do need to clarify. I am not a financial advisor. I know many of you are aware of that, but in case you're new here, I don't have a financial background. I'm just an enthusiastic member of the XRP community. That means don't buy or sell because of anything that I say. This is a non-hype channel. I just like to cover the facts. A little bit of speculation's fine. Well-measured, reasonable speculation, just nothing too hypey. Anyway, the XRP liquidity solution launched in late 2018. Throughout 2019, on-demand liquidity volume rose by 550%, with the number of transactions surging nearly 300% in the last quarter. Again, I still think these numbers, as impressive as they are, they're going to be put to shame. And this will, I can't imagine that this will not positively impact the price of XRP. Now, you might ask when. Well, I don't know. As soon as people stop treating every single cryptocurrency the same in terms of buying and selling, because there's not enough difference there. That's just basically everybody's just treating more or less every cryptocurrency as if it's got the same utility and purpose and this and that. But that's just because people have not quite figured this all out, but that's okay in my mind. Ripple says on-demand liquidity has the potential to give banks and enterprises a new way to free up capital. Instead of maintaining pre-funded bank accounts in various countries to facilitate facilitate fast local payments, banks and financial institutions can leverage the speed of XRP settling transactions in 3 seconds while providing customers with up to 60% savings. Now, on to the next piece. Ripple tops list of blockchain capital raisers in 2019. Ripple raised the highest amount of funding among blockchain companies last year, according to a report by CB Insights. And this is rather impressive and fascinating to me. So obviously we know that Ripple just went through their Series C funding, got another cool $200 million here, which is the next thing they talk about in this article here, which is setting them up, it's positioning them to launch their IPO. And all of this amidst, we just went through the bear market of, 2018. 2019 wasn't particularly hot for altcoins in general, including XRP. Yet Ripple is here to stay and growing. So while many other projects out there are just dying on the vine, you've got Ripple went through a massive Series C funding round and going to launch, offer an initial, go through their initial public offering, presumably within the next 12 months, based on what Brad Garlinghouse said. So we shall see. Anyway, last month we reported that Ripple secured $200 million in a Series C round from investors like SBI Group, Tetragon Financial Group, and Route 66 Ventures. The blockchain firm led by Brad Garlinghouse was valued at $10 billion at the time. Now, the investment round helped the XRP issuer to top the list of blockchain firms by the amount of funds secured last year. Ripple plans to use the funds for talent hiring, opening new offices overseas, and enhancing balance sheet flexibility. And I do love that term. I'm going to keep using that. That's from Brad Garlinghouse. The funding round offers balance sheet flexibility, even though they're already flush with cash prior to that. Ripple was followed by Figure Technologies in the list of largest funding rounds. The latter raised $103 million to support the expansion of its blockchain-based platform, Provenance. Figure uses the platform to help users get home equity loans within minutes. Digital Asset and Peer Nova came next with $35 million and $31 million, respectively. The former it intends to fund developer community projects related to its digital asset modeling language, which is used to faster asset settlements. Elsewhere, Peer Nova is eyeing expansion of its technology that helps financial institutions handle their data workflows. Now check this out. Here's the subheading. Investment to blockchain firms declined in 2019. And that's why I think this is such a fun contrast with the success Ripple is having, positioning XRP to be used in the real world with continued adoption, versus this. Even though blockchain has gone mainstream, 2019 was not as successful for specialized startups as the previous year in terms of raised funds. According to CB Insights, total equity funding to blockchain startups dropped more than 30% last year compared to 2018. Mentions of blockchain in public earning reports also declined. Ripple's $200 million wouldn't have even made the top 3. The research authors suggest that the reason for the decline is that many startups are still trying to figure out product market fit. Yes, indeed. So this is the whole thing. What Ripple is doing in utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, this is not some sort of science experiment, as Brad Garlinghouse phrased it recently, probably more than once, frankly. There's no question. And then there's all these other technologies out there in the world of blockchain and crypto, and you can buy these cryptocurrencies, and they're technology in search of a problem to find. So they're trying to find a problem and provide a solution, but there isn't something there fundamentally. So they're just neat theories out there at best in many cases. In the last quarter of 2019, blockchain firms raised a combined $785 million across 164 deals, down 36 compared to the same period in the previous year. So very cool stuff now. Next, I wanted to highlight this. This is from XRP Joe, who wrote, "Maybe this can ease some of the FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt," and then tagged me along with a couple others. And it was a retweet from Darren XRP, and I want to read this. Darren XRP writes, "SEC needs to approve Ripple to do an IPO, and the SEC knows that Ripple are using XRP for cross-border payments. Therefore, XRP would not be a security by default. I think many are missing this point. IPO means SEC approves everything Ripple is doing." And so I'm not, from a legal perspective or anything along those lines, I don't know that that's true or false. I don't have a reason to believe it's not true. I just hadn't heard that before, but that seems to be a pretty reasonable position. And you would think that it would make sense for any company that's going through an IPO just to make sure that they're regulatory compliant and with in regards to every facet of the way that they're conducting business. So to me, it seems to make sense that they would do that, but that is something that I would technically need to check. I just want to be upfront about that. I have not fact-checked this. I just came across this tweet right before recording this video, and I thought I'd throw it in, but neat concept. So I'm glad that Darren shared that on the Twitters. All right, next, I got this from XRP Crypto Wolf, so shout out to you, good sir. It's the headline here. Nasdaq is looking at Bitcoin futures, says CEO Adina Friedman. Adina Friedman, CEO of Nasdaq, the world's second largest stock exchange, confirms that the company is considering launching Bitcoin futures with an unnamed business partner. Now, how about that? I thought that Bitcoin is just, and crypto in general, it was all just some sort of scam. It was a fly-by-night type of thing. It's all going to hell in a handbasket. All these coins are going to zero. And now you've got Nasdaq. That's definitely a household name, talking about doing this. In a new interview with Bloomberg, Friedman said, quote, "We have been working with the industry and with a great partner to look at whether or not it's the right thing to do, and I think that we're still evaluating that." Okay, but just consider this. Even though clearly, you can read about that, like nothing's in stone, Nasdaq is considering this. Just that fact alone should tell you something. Speaks volumes. Anyway, the quote continues, "We've been talking with the industry to say, is this something unique? We already have 2 Bitcoin futures out there. If you're going to create a product, you want to know that people are going to use it and use it differently than how it's being used today. The second thing is, we'd have to self-certify as a futures exchange for this, and we would use our NFX license to do that, but we have to make sure from a risk management perspective we are fully prepared." And those are the two things we're still working on. So very cool stuff. But anyway, that is it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!